Thank you so much, and I want to thank you for welcoming me into your meeting today. I did want to go a little bit into uh, why veterans, why Stop Soldier Suicide came about. And little over 10 years ago, we had three we had three Army officers who were called over into Iraq, and they did their job. They brought their units in, they brought their units out. Brian, Nick, and Craig returned home with all of their men and were ready to get back into the land of the living and doing good things. And each officer started receiving phone calls because their men were dying once they were home. And that really shook them. So what they did was they went out and got some cell phones, and they would meet every night in their living room, and they would give out resources. They would take phone calls from the men in their unit. And then the men in their unit, when they got the resources that they need, the help that they needed, they would give their information to a friend that they knew was struggling, to a fellow soldier, to a fellow Marine, an airman. And all of a sudden, these three officers realized that the problem was bigger than what they could handle in their living room. And that is where Stop Soldier Suicide was born. And like I said, we have been around for over 10 years now, going from case management into a clinical role, into now dabbling a little into technology to see what we can do to stop the veteran suicide. Now, the name does have soldier in it, but we've taken steps to make sure that we are all inclusive and welcoming of all of our veteran brethren. So, a few statistics about veterans, which is why it's more important than ever. 72% of veterans, and that number has even increased since these data metrics have been put together. They're still figuring and calculating, but 72% are more likely to die by suicide than their civilian counterparts. And it's pretty much about 2.5 times higher than the general population. So that's just concerning in and of itself. 2/3 of veteran suicides in North Carolina alone are by firearm, and they are 30%, veterans are 37% more likely to use a firearm in a suicide attempt than their civilian peers. And firearms, 83% lethal on the first attempt. Now, half of the individuals who survive a suicide attempt at all report a deliberation period of less than 20 minutes between the time they had that first thought and the time they took action on that thought. But here's the statistic, and here's why my organization is here and hopeful. 90% of individuals who survive a suicide attempt will not go on to have another. Okay? So there is hope. And in Wake County, the statistics mirror pretty much the national. From 2020 to 2023, we had 443 suicides in Wake County. Veterans make up about 4.6% of the Wake County population, and yet 64% of those suicides were veterans. So in an effort to do our best to see our vision come true, Stop Soldier Suicide wants a nation where service members and veterans have no greater risk for suicide than any other American. We want to reduce that parity by 40% by 2030. That's our goal. And the way we do that, we have a couple different areas that I alluded to before, but we are a nonprofit. So any of our services come at no cost to the veteran themselves. We offer both Roger, which is our clinical wellness program, and we also have Black Box, which is our suicide forward technology, and I'll explain that in a minute. We serve all branches of the military to include National Guard and Reserves. Does not matter what the discharge was. Could be honorable, could be other than, dishonorable. If you have a DD 214, we will do whatever we can to help you, and you qualify. We are staffed 24/7. We have peer counselors available outside of business hours, and we have licensed clinicians who will work with these individuals to get them the resources that they need. We have a resourcing department to get them connected to in their community, their veteran services with their VSOs who are local, or a VSO that they are comfortable working with, and get them connected to the benefits that they earned while they served. And we also will do clinical modalities. We will do suicide-specific, evidence-based methods with them to get them through that suicidal crisis and hopefully get them to a better place where they can continue to move forward. And we partner for the states that we don't have a licensed clinician representative. We partner with Centerstone Military Services to ensure that they get a referral at no cost to them for services with a licensed clinician in their state. So we're really dedicated to getting them support and help that they need. And we also have our black box project. I don't know as much about this, so I might read a little. I apologize, but it is suicide intelligence. And we have a team of forensic experts that collect, process, and analyze devices from veterans and service members who have died by suicide. Our hope is that these devices, we can pull data and find trends and markers that no one else has identified when it comes to pre-activity prior to that suicide. And we're hopeful that if we can identify certain trends, that maybe we can target those individuals who are following those trends and really offer them the support that they need in order to get help with those thoughts. So Stop Soldier Suicide, we believe in technology and data to support our work. We use evidence-based, again, methods and clinically proven to work for individuals who are experiencing a suicide crisis. And we also track and measure the data to make sure that what we are doing is working. And if we find an area that's no longer serving them to the best of their abilities, we pivot and we move on. So we are here. We are ready to help in this fight. And I would open the floor to any questions that anyone may have.
Great.